off last night, so I wanted to read the last of chapter 2, and then we will start chapter 3. So this basically, the concept of what this chapter 2 is, letting your treasure work for you. So putting your money in the bank, allowing it to earn interest, and the magic of compounding interest, because when you earn interest, it bulks up your bank account, and then you continue to earn interest on that, including the children of your original investment. So it's all right, so counsel with wise men, learn to make your treasure work for you, make it your slave, ensure an income for the future, provide also for your family may not want provide also that thy family may not want, should the gods call thee to their realms. So meaning, take care of your family. If it's like having a life insurance policy to take care of your family, or having something in place to take care of your family if you get called back to your realm. So we all have a time limit here, so we're not going to make it through with all of our stuff. I love that saying, the Egyptians tried to take it with them and all they got was robbed. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And it's when you lose things, I tell you what, you definitely you realize your character, you realize what's important to you. So all right, enjoy life while you are here. Do not overstrain or try to save too much. If 1/10 of all you earn is as much as you can comfortably keep, be content to keep this portion. Live otherwise according to your income, and let not yourself get afraid to spend. Life is good and life is rich, with things worthwhile and things to enjoy. His friend thanked him, and he went away. Some were silent because they had no imagination and they could not understand. Some were sarcastic because they thought that he was so rich that he should divide with old friends, not so fortunate. But some had in their eyes a new light. They realized that Amlagesh had come back each time to the room of the scribes because he was watching a man work his way out of darkness into the light. When that man had found the light, a place awaited him. No one could fill that place until he had himself worked out on his own understanding, and until he was ready for the opportunity. These latter were the ones who, in the following years, frequently visited Arcad, who received them gladly. He counseled with them and gave them freely of his wisdom, as men of broad experience are always glad to do. And he assisted them in so investing their savings that it would bring in good interest with safety, and would neither be lost nor entangled in investments that paid no dividends. The turning point in these men's lives came upon the day when they realized the truth had come from Amlagesh to Arcad, and from Arcad to them. Part of all you earn is yours to keep. Okay, so that was the end of part 2, chapter 2. So chapter 3, 7 cures for a lean purse. We're getting into good stuff here. All right, so the glory of Babylon endures. Down through the ages, its reputation comes to us as the richest of cities, its treasures as fabulous. Yet, it was not always so. The riches of Babylon were the results of the wisdom of its people. The first had to learn how to become wealthy. When the good king Sargon returned to Babylon after defeating his enemies, he was confronted with a serious situation. The royal chancellor explained it to the king thus: after many years of great prosperity brought to our people because your majesty built the great irrigation canals and the mighty temples of gods, now that these works are completed, the people seem unable to support themselves. The laborers are without employment, the merchants have few customers, the farmers are unable to sell their produce, and the people have not enough gold to buy food. But where has all the gold gone that we spent for these great improvements? Demanded the king. It has found its way, I fear, into the possession of a very few rich men of our city. It filtered through the fingers of most of our people as quickly as goat's milk through the strainer. Now that the stream of gold has ceased to flow, most of our people have nothing to show for their earnings. The king was thoughtful for some time. Then he asked, why should so few men be able to acquire all the gold? Because they know how, replied the chancellor. One may not condemn a man for succeeding because he knows how. Neither may one with justice take away from a man what he has fairly earned, to give to men of less ability. But why, demanded the king. Should not all the people learn how to accumulate gold and therefore themselves become rich and prosperous? Quite possibly, Your Excellency, but who can teach them? Certainly not the priests, because they know not of money-making. Who knows best in all of our city how to become wealthy, Chancellor? Asked the king. The question answers itself, Your Majesty. Who has amassed the greatest wealth in Babylon? Well said, my able Chancellor. Of course it is Arcad. He is the richest man in Babylon. Bring him before me tomorrow. Upon the following day, as the king had decreed, Arcad appeared before him, straight and sprightly, despite his 70 years. Arcad, spoke the king, is it true that art the richest man in Babylon? So it is reported, Your Majesty, and no man disputes it. How becamest thou so wealthy? By taking advantage of opportunities available to all citizens of our good city. Thou hadst nothing to start with? Only a great desire for wealth, your king. Besides this, nothing. Arcad, continued the king, our city is in a very unhappy state because a few men know how to acquire wealth and therefore monopolize it, while the mass of our citizens lack the knowledge of how to keep any part of the gold that they retrieve. It is my desire that Babylon be the wealthiest city in the world. Therefore, it must be a city of many wealthy men. Therefore, we must teach all the people how to acquire riches. Tell me, Arcad, is there a secret to acquiring wealth? Can it be taught? It is practical, Your Majesty, that which one man knows can be taught to others. The king's eyes glowed. Arcad, thou speakest the words I wish to hear. Wilt thou lend thyself to this great cause? Wilt thou teach thy knowledge to a school of teachers, each of whom shall teach others until there are enough trained to teach these truths to every worthy subject in my domain? Arcad bowed and said, I am thy humble servant to command. Whatever knowledge I possess will I gladly give for the betterment of my fellow men and the glory of my king. Let your good chancellor arrange for me a class of 100 men, and will teach them those 7 cures which did fatten my purse, than which there were none leaner than all of Babylon. A fortnight later, in compliance with the king's command, the chosen 100 assembled in the great hall of the Temple of Learning. Seated in a semicircle, Arcad sat beside a small table upon which smoked a sacred lamp, sending forth a strange and pleasant odor. Behold, the richest man in Babylon, whispered a student, nudging his neighbor as Arcad rose. But he is but a man, even as the rest of us. As a dutiful subject of our great king, Arcad began, I stand before you in his service, because once I was a poor youth who did greatly desire gold. And because I found knowledge that enabled me to acquire it, he asked that I impart unto you my knowledge. I started my fortune in the most humble of ways. I had no advantage, not enjoyed as fully by you and every citizen in Babylon. The first storehouse of my treasure was a well purse. I loathed its useless emptiness. I desired it to be round and full, clinking with the sound of gold. Therefore, I sought every remedy for a lean purse, and I found 7. To you who are assembled before me, shall I explain the 7 cures for a lean purse, which I do recommend to all men who desire much gold. Each day for 7 days will I explain to you one of the 7 remedies. Listen attentively to the knowledge that I will impart. Debate it with me. Discuss it amongst yourselves. Learn those lessons thoroughly, that ye may also plant in your own purse the seed of wealth. First must each of you start wisely to build a fortune of your own. Then thou will be competent, and only then to teach these truths to others. I shall teach you in simple ways how to fatten your purses. This is the first step leading to the temple of wealth. And no man may climb who cannot plant his feet firmly upon the very first step. We shall now consider the first cure. And the first cure is start thy purse to fattening. Arcad addressed a thoughtful man in the second row. My good friend, at what craft workest thou? I am a scribe, and carve records upon the clay tablets. Even at such labor did I myself earn my first coppers, said Arcad. Therefore, thou hast the same opportunity to build a fortune. He spoke to a florid-faced man further back. Pray tell also what dost of my wealth thinkest thou I may gratify every desire. 'Tis a false idea. There are limits to my time, and there are limits to my strength. There are limits to the distance I may travel, and there are limits to what I may eat. There are limits to the zest with which I may enjoy life. And I say to you, just as weeds grow in a field wherever the farmer leaves room for space for their roots, even so freely do the desires in men wherever there is possibility of their being gratified. Their desires are a multitude, and thou mayest gratify are but a few. Study thoughtfully thy accustomed habits of living. Herein may most often found certain accepted expenses that may wisely be reduced or eliminated completely. Let thy motto be 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent. Therefore, engrave upon the clay each thing for which thou desirest to spend. Select those that are necessary and others that are possible through the expenditure of 9/10 of thy income. Cross out the rest and consider them but a part of that great multitude of desires that must go unsatisfied, and regret them not. Budget then thy necessary expenses. Touch not the 1/10. That is fattening thy purse. Let this be thy greatest desire that is being fulfilled. Keep working within thy budget. Keep adjusting to help thee. Make it thy first assistant in defending your fattening purse. Hereupon, one of my students, wearing a robe of red and gold, arose and said, I am a free man. I believe that it is my right to enjoy the good things of life. Therefore, I do rebel against the slavery of a budget, which determines just how much I may spend and for what. I feel it would take much pleasure from my life and make me little more than a pack-ass to carry a burden. To him, Arcad replied, Who, my friend, would determine thy budget? I would make it for myself, responded the protesting one. In that case, were a pack-ass to budget this burden, would he include herein jewels and rugs and heavy bars of gold? Not so. He would include hay and grain and a bag of water for the desert trail. The purpose of a budget is to help thy purse to fatten. It is to assist thee to have thy necessities and, insofar as attainable, all thy other desires. It is to enable thee to realize thy most cherished desires by defending them from thy casual wishes. Like a bright light in a dark cave, thy budget shows up the leaks from thy purse and enables thee to stop them and control thy expenditures for other definite and gratifying purposes. This then is the second cure for a lean purse. Budget thy expenses that thou mayest have coins to pay for the necessities, to pay for thy enjoyments, and to gratify thy worthwhile desires without spending more than 9/10 of the earnings. The third cure, make thy gold multiply. Behold, thy lean purse is fattening. Thou hast disciplined thyself to leave in herein 1/10 of all you have earned. You have controlled thy expenditures to protect the growing treasure. Next, we will consider means to put the treasure to labor and to multiply. Gold in a purse is gratifying to own, and it satisfies a misery of souls, but it earns nothing. The gold we may retain from our earnings is but a start. The earnings it will make shall build our fortunes, spoke Arcad upon this third day to his class. How, therefore, may we put our gold to work? My first investment was unfortunate, for I had lost all. Its tale I will relate later. My first profitable investment was a loan I made to a man named Agar, a shield maker. Once each year did he buy large shipments of bronze brought from across the sea to use in his trade. Lacking sufficient capital to pay the merchants, he would borrow from those who had extra coins, and he was an honorable man. His borrowing he would repay together with a liberal rental, as he sold his shields every time. And each time I loaned him the money, I loaned back also the rental he paid to me. Therefore, not only did my capital increase, but its earnings likewise increased. Most gratifying was it to have these sums returned to my purse. I tell you, my students, a man's wealth is not in the coins he carries in his purse. It is in income he builds. The golden stream that continually flows into his purse and keeps it always bulging. That is what every man desires. That is what you, every single one of you, desires. An income that continues to come, whether you work or travel. Great income I have acquired, so great that I am called a very rich man. My loans to Agar were my very first training in profitable investments. Gaining wisdom from every single experience, I extended my loans and investments as my capital increased. From a few sources at first to many sources later. And coins flowed into my purse, a golden stream, like wealth available for such wise uses, anything that I should decide. Behold, from my humble earnings, I had begotten a horde of golden slaves, each laboring and earning more gold. And as they labored for me, so their children also labored, and their children's children, until great was the income from their combined efforts. Gold increaseth rapidly when making reasonable changes, and thou wilt see the following. A farmer, when his first son was born, took 10 pieces of silver to a moneylender and asked him to keep it on rental for his son until he became the age of 20. This the moneylender did and agreed that the rentals should be 1/4 of its value each 4 years. The farmer asked, because the sum he had set aside as belonging to his son, that the rental be added to the principal. Compounding interest. When the boy had reached the age of 20 years, the farmer again went to the moneylender to inquire about the silver. The moneylender explained that because this sum had been increased by compound interest, the original 10 pieces of silver had now grown to 30 1/2 pieces. The farmer was well pleased, and because the son did not need the coins, he left them with the moneylender. When the son became 50 years of age, the father meantime having passed to the other world, the moneylender paid the sum in settlement 167 pieces of silver. Thus, in 50 years, had this investment multiplied itself at rental almost 17 times. This then is the third cure for a lean purse, to put each coin into laboring that it may reproduce its kind, even as the flocks of the field, and help bring to thee income, a stream of wealth that shall flow consistently into thy purse. The fourth cure, guard thy treasures from loss. Misfortune loves a shining mark. Gold in a man's purse must be guarded with firmness, else it be lost. Thus it is wise that we must first secure small amounts and learn to protect them before the gods entrust us with more. So our God spoke upon the fourth day to his class. Every owner of gold is tempted by opportunities whereby it would seem that he would make large sums by its investment in almost plausible projects. Often friends and relatives are eagerly entertaining such investments and urge him to follow. The first sound principle of investment is security for thy principal. Is it wise to be intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost? I say not. The penalty of risk is probable loss. Study carefully before parting with thy treasure. Each assurance that it may safely be reclaimed. Be not misled by thine own romantic desires to make wealth rapidly. Before thou any man, assure thyself of his ability to repay and his reputation for doing so. Thou mayest not unwillingly make him a present of thy hard-earned treasure. Therefore, before anybody entrusts an investment in any field, make sure that you acquaint yourself with the dangers which may follow with it. My own first investment was a tragedy to me at the time. The guarded savings of a year I did entrust to a brickmaker named Asmir, who was traveling over the far seas, and in Tyre agreed to buy for me the rare jewels of the Phoenicians. These we would sell upon his return and divide the profits. The Phoenicians were scoundrels and sold him bits of glass. My treasure was lost. Today, my training would show me at once the folly of entrusting a brickmaker to buy jewels. Therefore, I do not advise thee from the wisdom of my experiences. Be not too confident of thy own wisdom in entrusting the treasures to the possible pitfalls of investments. Better by far to consult the wisdom of those experienced in handling money for profit. Such advice is freely given for the asking and may readily pose a value equal in gold to the sum thou considered investing. In truth, such is its actual value if it save thee from loss. This then is the fourth cure for a lean purse, and of the greatest importance. If it prevent thy purse from being emptied once, it has become well filled. Guard thy treasure from loss by investing only where thy principal is safe, where it may be reclaimed if desired, and where thou wilt not fail to collect a fair rental. Consult with wise men, secure the advice of those experienced in the profitable handling of your money, and let their wisdom protect your treasure from unsafe investments. Okay, so I'm going to stop there because we're already at 20 minutes and there's a 5th, 6th, and 7th cure in chapter 3. But good stuff, you guys. I mean, the 20-minute reading I think is coming along really well. I like doing this in 20-minute increments. Hopefully you're able to digest it. This is so smart. I'll tell you what, if I would have learned all this information even, a few years ago, it could have made a massive difference for me. I definitely could have protected my purse from bad investments and bad decisions, and I would have done things differently. However, you do learn through loss. So it's, not a horrible way to go, but it sucks to lose money, especially when you think you're doing a great investment and it just doesn't pan out. I've heard many times from wealthy people, do not invest more than you can afford to lose. So that's kind of where I think he's coming from, is either make sure it's a really sound investment and don't invest everything. So keep some in. That's why diversity matters, investing in different areas, maybe having some in real estate, having some in stocks and bonds, having some in crypto, having some in artwork or other types of investments that can gain money over time, or your favorite hobby. I mean, there's trading cards and there's all kinds of collectibles that can earn money over time in certain groups. So make sure you're diversifying. So that's it for tonight. And we are going to do half of chapter 3 tonight, half of chapter 3 tomorrow. I hope that you are enjoying this and that you are learning something from this, as I am. Really easy read. I mean, I know it's like old, like language. I think this book is like from a long time ago. Yeah, first published in 1926, and it was in separate pamphlet. Your book is only about 88 pages long, and we're already to page 25 in chapter 3. So it's going really fast. So anyway, if you have any questions, make sure hit me up. Let me know. Hope you are enjoying this book reading series. I like reading. I think it's fun. I love to read, and I love to be helpful, and I feel like we're learning together. I love to just put more knowledge up in there, and figure out what I've been doing wrong in order to get the results that I really want for my life. So yeah, that's it. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy your evening. It is an absolutely stunning sunset. Maybe I can show you guys. Hang on one second. Let me show you this sunset. I gotta get past the trees. That bunny's going. Sunday, I'm reading a book alongside this one. It's called Burn the Boats by Matt Higgins, and it is about getting rid of your plan B. So that one has been really a good one too. I'd love to read that with you guys as well, but we'll see how it goes. So there's a lot of trees where I'm at. They're so beautiful. Well, I can show you this part. I can't get past the trees. Doggone it. Anyway, that's what it looks like Only a lot more clouds up in the sky. Lots of beautiful colors. Absolutely incredible. I hope that you have a fantastic evening. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you again tomorrow. Good luck with your money.